my first successful mixing experience was with a producer named Kashif. Kashif passed away last year, and Kashif was a pretty well-known artist. He had written songs for Whitney Houston, another guy named Howard Johnson, who was in Manhattan. He did some stuff on himself, and I helped him with, I think it was his second or third album. And it was really funny because he pulled me out of the studio. I was making about $800 a week. No, I was making about $600 a week. And Kashif said, I'll pay you $800 a week. And I was like, oh my God, I'm rich. And as soon as he agreed to that, he said, we're going to go out to California and record. So we, got on a plane, we went out to California. I proceeded to work about 100 hours a week. So I was making about $8 an hour. But it was really fun. And Kashif really helped me to understand what I was doing as a mixing engineer with his production process. And from there, I learned a lot about how to translate that to other compositions. The path that I took was pretty traditional. You begin as an intern in a recording studio. You go up to assistant engineer. From assistant engineer, you go to recording engineer. From recording engineer, you go to mixing engineer. For me, I started as a record producer. So I produced my first record in 1979, and I thought that record production was arranging. You go in with a drummer, bass player, guitar player, keyboard player, some vocalists. You arrange this section, you arrange this section, you arrange this section. I didn't know anything about engineering. I had no idea what that stuff was. But I knew that I wanted the record to sound good and reflect the arrangement well. Well, in retrospect, I wasn't happy. I wasn't satisfied. And one thing led to another. And I was on this quest to find engineers that could make what I was hearing in my head make sense. So what I did was I went out and got some records. I went and got some Parliament Funkadelic records and some Ohio Players records, and I showed them to an engineer, 20 minutes. He had the sound that I wanted. It dawned on me at that point that I had to get that language together. So that led me from an artist on stage at Madison Square Garden, standing in front of 30,000 people, to say to myself, if I go behind the scenes and learn engineering, it'll make me a stronger producer. So I went from that moment at Madison Square to an audio program, and then I entered the studio as an intern and literally had to clean toilets, sharpen pencils, make sure that there were pads of paper on the console. So if you ask me what would I tell an engineer, listen to good music, or music that interests you, or music that's successful, whatever category you want to call it, listen to that music first. Then try to create that music. Then try to mix that music. Then try to put that music into the marketplace. That's the only way that you'll know whether what you're doing has a trajectory that works for your life or not. The role of the engineer is transparency. So I think what makes me unique is that as much as I know, I am looking for the most transparent engineering process as possible. And I'm relying on my ability as a music producer more so than my ability as an engineer to listen to the song and extract the song from what's in front of me. You've got to take the time. You've got to really, really understand how audio comes together. You don't necessarily have to go to school and study it. You can figure it out on your own, but you've got to take the time and do that 10,000 hours to figure it out.